Hi, my name is Retji. I am Mupun by tribe, and I was born and raised in Jos, Nigeria. I am the director of a documentary titled Sankofa. While I was working on this documentary, I volunteered at the Sankofa Children's Museum of African Cultures in Baltimore, Maryland, and I spent time with the museum curator, Jim Clemmer. Jim is a man who is very passionate about the African tribal art and has spent most of his life educating himself about the African culture through collecting African tribal art. In this web series, I'll be introducing you to different African tribes through the different African tribal artwork located in the Sankofa Museum. Along with the help of Jim and Google, I hope this series will inspire you to read up on African tribes after this video is over.
So, how did I get to be so interested in this? Well, I think I've always been fascinated by tribal masks, African tribal masks, since I was a kid. Probably at the barber shop and the dentist's office and doctor's office when you'd be looking at the National Geographic magazines, at least I was, and you get to see the world, and I started seeing African masks. Found them fascinating, and then as I got a little bit older, maybe in my earlier teens, I might see some pretty cool decorating photos of people decorating their homes or offices with African tribal or ethnographic art, which again, I found pretty cool. So little by little, I think I was, seeing these African images and finding them very fascinating, to the point that it developed into a full-blown passion slowly over the years. Now, I bought my first mask about, maybe 5 years before I met my African wife. So even though she has a lot to do with it in the sense of having a store, which I encouraged her to take on a collection of African ethnographic or tribal art. Certainly that plays a role, but I actually bought my first mask before I met my wife, probably 4 or 5 years or so before I met my wife, in the Adams Morgan section of DC. I saw a big sign said African masks and thought, I got to check that out. I went upstairs and saw this floor strewn with African masks, which only had a price tag. I knew nothing about it, and they told you nothing about it. They knew very little. So I bought a mask, and it took me years till I found out I bought a Guro mask from Ivory Coast.
The Guro tribe is located in Ivory Coast, also known as Côte d'Ivoire in West Africa. They're also known as Kweni, Dipa, and Lo. Their language family consists of the Niger-Congo, Mande, Guro Tura, Guro Dan, Guro Yaore, and Guro. Their population is approximately 500,000. Originally, they were called Kweni, but they were violently colonized between 1906 and 1912 and were given the Baoulé name Guro by the invading French colonials. Guro tribal masks represents the spirit of Gu, the wife of Zambo, a supernatural being. Gu is often depicted as elegant, graceful, serene, and beautiful. Sacred Guro masks, delicately crafted and colorful, are used and honored during sacrificial gatherings, funerals, and celebrations. They honor protective spirits called Zuzu, and these spirits were housed in shrines.
The true pieces of art from their standpoint, now when I say their, I mean whether it's the Kuba or the Baoulé of Ivory Coast, pardon me, or the Yoruba of Nigeria, or the Igbo of Nigeria, or the Bamileke people of the grasslands of Cameroon. Many of these pieces were made to be used in ceremonies and rituals, and some of them were just, once they were consecrated by a shaman, which meant they had to have a spirit attracted into it in order that it could protect. And so certain pieces were made as protective pieces. Once they were purchased, they were placed in the family's home to protect that home. And so there are many uses for these things.